Hello and welcome to The Cosmic Nomad. I'm your host, Bailey Rushlow, and this is a space for the curious and the heart-led, where we explore the human experience through travel, nature, spirituality, and real-life transformation through beautiful conversations. As I discover my way of living what I call an inspired life, I share the practices, stories, and perspectives that have helped guide me back to myself. Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode. I'm so glad you're here joining me for the journey today. I'm coming at you live from Bavaria, Germany, and I kind of love that all of the last episodes I've been coming from somewhere recording this, true cosmic nomad style. And in this episode, we're going to reimagine together the whole idea of the 5-year plan. We're not going to be focusing on goals and checklists, but talking about the way we want to feel and how this can become a compass for our lives. So we're going to be sharing practical tools and practices to help you dream your life in a way that is actually soul-led and heart-led. And this is about moving beyond performance and into creating a life that actually feels aligned and one that feels like yours. So let's take a deep breath together. In and out. Ready? I feel like we don't do that enough in life. If you need another one, please do that now. Come back to your breath throughout the episode and throughout your day. Honestly, that I spend a lot of my day reminding myself to deep breathe because I get stuck in my head. I get stuck in the moment of what's happening, and you know, the breath is often the first thing out the window when really it is something that is so important and so grounding to our body and to our mind, our heart, our thoughts, all of our systems, our cardiovascular system, our nervous system, our circulatory system, our digestive system, all the things connect through our breath. So just a little reminder there. I've also thought about doing an episode on breath work, maybe even guiding us through some practices that have supported me. I'm not a breathwork practitioner, but it is something that has really greatly helped my life. So maybe in the future. Anyway, please make yourself cozy and at home, whether that is going out and walking your dog or having a smoke break or making a smoothie or doing some stretching on the floor while we dive into this topic that makes me feel so alive. And I hope that it does the same for you. I think I said this in the last episode, but I record these episodes for all of you to learn, to grow, to evolve by me sharing my own life adventures and journeys and experiences. But even more than that, and selfishly, I record them for myself because not only is it great practice for me to put into words what I feel and what I've been, gone through in life, things I've learned that have helped make this crazy journey a little bit easier, but also that I can listen back through my life as like a timestamp of where I've been, and hopefully as a form of roadmap to where I'm going. So that said, talking about plans and the future, usually when we talk about these things, it's about the doing, right? How many times have you been asked, what is your 5-year plan? Where do you see yourself going? What are you hoping to achieve? What are your 10-year goals? It's all about doing. It's all about the house, the job, the milestones. But the truth is, so much of our reality is not what we do. It's not based or created by what we do, but how we feel and by what we believe. And what we feel is vibrational. it is like a signal that we are sending out from our mind to the world. And when we become aware of our inner dialogue, like the thoughts that we have about ourselves, about the world around us, about the people in our life, about the things we do, we can start to see how those shape the bigger dream that we live. If you've ever read The Four Agreements or anything by Don Miguel Ruiz, you have learned about Toltec wisdom. And Toltec wisdom is such a beautiful way of life. And basically, they teach that our life is a dream that we have agreed to. And it's made up of tiny agreements and beliefs that we've inherited or chosen. And maybe we've agreed, for example, that success looks a certain way, or rest has to be earned, or love is conditional. And usually we inherit these at a very young age, or we come into agreement with them early on. And when we make an agreement with something, it becomes a belief that informs our reality. So someone who believes that rest has to be earned is going to see and interact with the world very differently than someone who doesn't have that belief or hasn't made that agreement. And so that means that every one of us is seeing the world through a different set of lenses, because the agreements we make, the beliefs that we believe, they inform our reality. And when we don't ever question what we believe or why we believe, we start to live a lot of life from the subconscious and in autopilot. And I've talked about this in previous episodes, episode 5 and 8, I think, were deep dives into these topics. But what happens when we start to question, why do I believe what I believe? We gain an awareness, and we start to realize, wait a second, maybe I don't actually want to dream that dream. When we notice the small agreements that we've made, we can choose new ones. When we are unaware of the agreements, we cannot choose new ones, right? It seems very simple, but it is, but it's also very complex, because a lot of our beliefs and agreements we've made in our subconscious are tied to all of our security and stability in how we interact with the world. Like, it's very brave to go deeper and say, you know what? I'm going to gather my tools. I'm going to become an archaeologist in myself, in my mind, in my subconscious, in my worldview, in why I believe what I believe, because it is informing everything. And until I do that, I'm probably living someone else's dream, or a number of other belief systems that have been passed down to me, or that I have absorbed through school or church or work or trauma, etc., right? And the Toltec way of life also teaches us that the belief system is almost like a parasite to the soul, because it controls the way we think, move, breathe, and act in the world, as opposed to it being our autonomous choice. It's controlled by the parasite, which is the belief system, which is fascinating, right? It's like, holy shit, it all starts making sense. So, how do we recognize and remember that we are the dreamer, that we are in charge of the dream that we are creating and constructing as our life and in this reality? So how do we become the dreamer? If our agreements are what shape the bigger dream of our lives, then becoming aware of them means that we get to step into the role of the architect, right? And instead of just living in the house someone else designed for us and someone else's beliefs, We've realized that we get to pick up the blueprint and the paintbrush and the hammer. We talked about that a few episodes ago with not renting your life, right? Living in a proverbial home of your life that you own, not just one that you rent, that you're barely living in, but one that you're fully embodied in. But here's the thing, the awareness of it alone isn't enough. You can be aware of it all day, but how do we begin to dream differently? How do we begin to redraw the lines of the story that we're living in? And not just metaphorically or conceptually, but in our everyday lives, in our bodies, in an embodied way. And this is where I think it gets fun, because there are some really great practices that we can implement here. And it's not about fixing ourselves or trying to follow the steps to make our lives better. It is about retraining our system internally to not only recognize, but embody the new dream. And it's a way of bringing the invisible concepts into physical form and into radical change. And it's like moving from thinking about change to actually living it. So, although a question like, where do you see yourself in 5 years, is not inherently bad. It's great to brainstorm and think ahead and have dreams. But I think an even better question is, how do you want to feel in 5 years? How do you want your life to look? If you could glimpse, like peering through a portal-y mirror into the life that you could be living in 5 years from now, what would it smell like? What would it taste like? What would it feel like? What would the breeze feel like on your skin? What would the clothes feel like that you're wearing? What would you be cooking? What would you be eating? What would your day look like? What would your rituals be? Who would that person interact with? What would that version of you think about? What kind of music would they vibe out to in the car? What kind of conversations would they have? What places would they have traveled? What kind of art would you have on your walls? How would you spend your free time? All of these questions invoke a feeling internally. And I'm not expecting anything from you, by the way. There is no expectation for you to create some perfect, idealized dream life that's not real. And that I will be proud of you because you created the best version of all the people listening. Like, that's not the point. The point of this exercise and these questions is to get you dreaming a new dream. It's not about me. I don't care what you choose. It's about you. What do you want to feel? Because, and here is why this reframe is so important. How often have you thought, when I get blank, fill in the blank, $10,000 in my bank account, for example, I'm going to feel this way. When I get that promotion in my job, it's going to be so good. I'm going to feel this way. Blank, successful, like I've achieved something. When I lose 50 pounds, I'm going to be X, Y, and Z. The goals are not bad. They're nice. It's great to achieve things. I'll never tell you that that's bad for you. However, we have it backward. When I do this thing, then I'm going to feel this way. We got to flip the script. How do I want to feel? And then, what are the things that I need to do to get there? That's how we flip the script, because it's vibrational. What you feel ripples out from you and creates the reality you want to live. I mean, how many times have you said or heard people say, I did all the right things. I climbed the corporate mountain. I got the wife, the kids, the family, whatever. And then I got to the top of that pinnacle and I was there alone. And that was it. I had done everything I desired to do. And I felt kind of empty. So that's where these super fun practices come in. Because I don't know if you know this, but humans are manifestors by nature. Every single thought, every emotion that we hold in our bodies is creating a vibration. Vibration is what shapes our reality. And we live in a world that wants us to forget that. We're told that we're just like another cog in the machine, or part of this endless rat race of humans just going about life, doing our thing, will soon be forgotten. We suppress our individuality and we downplay the power of our choices. And honestly, I don't think it's by accident that we've been taught to do that. The larger systems at play, like capitalism, the patriarchy, colonization, colonial thinking, they thrive when we forget how much creative power we hold. So when I step back and I say, wait, I am the dreamer. I am the one shaping this reality. Oh, I got chills. Suddenly the game changes. The script flips, right? And if that sounds a little too woo, I just want you to remember what Nikola Tesla said. Quote, "If you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Unquote. Everything around us is vibrating. Sound waves, light waves, the resonance of the earth itself, and our bodies are not different. Our heartbeats, our brain waves, even the way that our cells communicate, it's electronic, it's frequential. And when we shift the vibration inside of us, we're not just playing with positive thinking. Like, we are literally tuning the instrument of our lives to a different frequency. That's why gratitude feels different in your body than heartbreak. That's why excitement seems to magnetize new opportunities, while fear contracts. And the problem is, most of us have been taught to forget that power because the systems that we live in thrive on us believing that we are just part of the rat race. We just have to keep hustling, keep consuming, keep looking outside of ourselves for answers. But when you remember that you are the dreamer, you are the gamekeeper. And the practices that I want to share, they're not just rituals, they're not just positive thinking. They are ways of training your nervous system and your energy field to broadcast the frequency of life that you want. And also to train your nervous system how to hold the frequency of what you want to live and to experience. Because if the body doesn't know how it wants to feel or what's possible to feel, it's going to have a very difficult time just making it up and going with it. Like, you have to actually lay out a blueprint. So these tools are blueprint tools. And the first one is journaling. You might say straight away, Bailey, I'm just not a journaling person. And that's okay. That's okay. But I want to encourage you to try something different, because it's not just about writing your thoughts down. It's about creating a mirror for the subconscious. Because when you put words on paper, you begin to notice the stories that you are unconsciously repeating. Journaling, for me, it's like it lets me ask myself, Is this the agreement I want to keep making? It shifts from me reacting inside the dream to observing it and then making the necessary edits to move forward with the script that feels aligned. So when I journal, I don't write what I think I will want to read from myself in the future. I don't write in a perfect way, editing myself and no, I write exactly how I feel. I cuss, I scribble, I draw doodles, I paste flowers and four-leaf clovers and feathers and little moments of synchronicity in there to remind myself of the magic that exists all around me. It's where I go to write about what I believe about myself, about love, about money, about rest, about work, about travel. And when I read back through them, I ask myself, do these beliefs feel expansive or constricting? You might be brand new to journaling. You might have been journaling forever. Regardless, I would love for you to start a new journaling practice. If you're really serious about wanting to do this, set the scene, light a candle, make tea, sit somewhere quiet. Create an environment that signals to your nervous system that something intentional is happening. And I love to write down things I'm grateful for. Sometimes my journals are just gratitude lists of things I'm grateful for. Big, small, tangible, whatever. Like, I've slept well. My favorite song came on the radio in the coffee shop, right? It can be something small, but just this shifts your vibration into receptiveness, receiving mode. And ask yourself, how do I want to feel in 5 years? Or next year? Or next month? There is no time limit on this, but pick something that feels aligned. For example, I'm going to be 30 in January. I've been doing a lot of thinking about my 30th year, my 30th birthday, the way that I want to feel, not only the things I want to do. Well, yes, there are things I want to do in my 30th year, but mostly I've been focusing on the vibration of what I want to feel. So, questions I might ask myself are, what does the most aligned version of me do on a normal day? What does her day look like? She wakes up and then what? Another question might be, if nothing was holding me back, what would I create? And then just write without editing yourself. No editing. It's not allowed. Give yourself 5, 10, 15, an hour, however long you need. No censoring, no worrying if it makes sense or not. This act of just writing, free flow, lets your body feel what's possible, and it clears the clutter from your subconscious. And that's it. That's your practice. It's one of them anyway. And then close it out with reading it back out loud, letting yourself feel it in your chest, in your breath. Feel what is beginning to vibrate in you and in your soul, because a lot of times when I've done this, I end up in tears. Or I end up laughing, I end up getting chills. There's a visceral response in my body, which means I have shifted something. Something else that I love to do, and I don't do this enough, and I really need to because it works. And this one is really fun too, especially if you love physical projects, because making a vision board or an embodiment board, digital, physical, can be through Pinterest, can be setting an intentional space, lighting a candle, making tea, again, setting the intention that something big is happening right now and we're feeling into it. Phone on, do not disturb. We're tapping in. We're going on Pinterest. We're going to create a vision board or a mood board of the things we want to feel. What colors do you want your life to look like? What do you want your bedroom to feel like in the morning when you wake up? What do you want your breakfast or your meals to look, instead of just throwing food on a plate or in the microwave? What if you used your nice china? The kind that is in the cabinet you only use for guests. What if you used it for yourself? What if you burned the good candles? What if you created that sanctuary in the corner of your house that's just for you? It's just yours. So you can do this by collecting photos, videos, etc., putting them all into a Pinterest board, like a mood board, or with Canva. You can also print it out and put it on your wall. Like if you're more comfortable doing digital art, make it fun, make it creative. Put words on there that inspire you. The version of yourself that you want to be. Who is she? Who is he? Who are they? Or you can make a physical vision board, which I think is very fun. Gathering materials like old magazines, scissors, glue, poster board. Maybe it's a color palette. Maybe it's a forest or a dinner table with friends, a passport, a mountain range, somewhere you want to go, a place you want to make memories, something that sparks or ignites something in you. And what's interesting is from my own personal experiences, when I have done this, 9 times out of 10, I have either seen physically or felt physically or experienced physically the things that I put on that board. For example, I remember having this photo of palm trees and a beautiful sunset on my board. And there was a point in the year where I found myself looking out at a scene in real life, sitting on a beach that looked just like the one on my vision board. Because I planted the feeling of that vibration on my board through art a year ahead, a year before I was actually there physically. It was like planting the seed for my subconscious that was possible for me. And when I felt it and when I saw it in real life and I went, man, this feels familiar somehow. And I remembered my board and I started tearing up and I thought, oh my God, I made this happen. I created this environment for myself. Happened again with the journaling element where I was literally sitting on the beach in Mexico, writing to myself on my phone, free flow, everything that I wanted to feel in my future partner. Not just what they looked like or what they did with their life, although those things are important. How did I feel around them? How did they make me feel? How did we interact with each other? How did they think? What did they see in the world and in me? How were we compatible and what ways do we communicate? Literally within a few weeks of that night, I met the person that has been my partner for 5 years this year. And of course, it's not only because I wrote down what I wanted to feel, but I like to think that actually did play a big part in it because I recognized it as soon as it was in front of me, because I had already expressed the vision from my heart out there into the world in the form of my writing. And no one else read it. No one else saw it. It was just for me personally. But I feel like it became like an energetic blueprint. Like I drew the outline of a coloring page and the universe filled in the colors with time. And that was an incredible feeling. And, I'm not just telling you this so that you will have one more thing to do and add to the list of self-help and wellness stuff you have to do in life to be whatever. No, this is simply a hack that has worked for me, that I would feel silly gatekeeping because I've seen firsthand how powerful it is. So when you've created your collage of vision board of things that you feel inspired by and feel connected to, make sure as well that you choose without overthinking. Like, let your body lead. If something sparks joy, curiosity, excitement, save it, cut it out, paste it, add it to the pages, because it's your body giving you information about something. And put the image or whatever you end up creating somewhere that you'll see it. Could be the background on your phone screen, right? It could be a folder that you open every day on your laptop. It could be something on your wall. It could be a collage that you see when you're brushing your teeth in the morning in the bathroom, that you look at and you observe and you remind your body of that vibration. You can't just make it and forget about it. I mean, you can, but that kind of defeats the purpose, because we want to interact with it. Spend 30 seconds a day and feel into it. Imagine being there. And that's the vibrational piece that turns this from a nice collage that you made once into a manifestation tool. All right, let's move on from these two into a few others that I think are so important before we wrap up this episode. So, the first one I call future self-embodiment. Instead of waiting for the vision of your future self and the person you want to be someday, air quotes, someday, to arrive, we step into it now. How does your future self breathe? How does she wake up? How does he order tea? How does he go on dates? Walk the way that they would walk. Dress the way that they would dress. Because when you practice being that person now, your nervous system literally codes it as being familiar. And the more familiar it feels, the faster it becomes your baseline reality. What do they eat? How do they move? How do they interact with the world? Do they take everything personal? This version of you that you're trying to become? Do they make assumptions about life? Do they gossip about everyone behind people's backs? Do they do random acts of kindness for strangers just because? The next one that I have been doing for many years is having an altar in my home. This altar is not only to the elements, to my travels. I have jars of sand from Egypt, relics from powerful places that I've visited, water from sacred springs from around the world, feathers that have been gifted to me by beautiful birds on my journeys. But also, they're not just about objects, they are like living maps. Each item is a code. Each item is a symbol. Recently, my partner and I went to visit Philip's grandfather. He's 98 years old. And on the table next to his bed, he has all of his favorite things. A model car that he used to drive. His favorite snacks. Photos of his loved ones. And we were sitting there with him, listening to him share about his life. And I realized this is his altar. It's a living space, a frequency that pulls a vision into form like an anchor. And maybe your altar has crystals and nature and wildlife and oracle cards. Maybe it has items or totems of the version and the vision of yourself that you're becoming. Or maybe it's a combination of all of them. But it's not just about some objects. It really is like a map and an anchor for the vision and the version of yourself that you're becoming. We can also do work with archetypes. Sometimes we can't believe in ourselves yet for many different reasons. For all of us, it can be different, but we can believe in a story. We can step into an archetype. Maybe you're a queen, a healer, an explorer, a magician, a trickster. Live as this person for the day, for the week. Because when you embody a myth, your brain doesn't know that it's pretend. So it literally builds new pathways. And suddenly you are no longer just playing pretend. You are that person. You are that archetype. What archetype calls to you? Which archetype inspires future thinking and inspires creativity, inspires joy in you? Something also that you can do is tie your vision to your senses. So we have so many incredible senses, and humans are so sensory, and we forget that this can be a really powerful tool as a manifester of our future and of our own reality, as a dreamer and creator of what this life is. What you touch, what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste. How can we incorporate those into today? I remember when my partner told me when he went skydiving that they told him to bring cologne with him, a specific fragrance that meant something to him, that he smelled as soon as he landed on the ground. So he landed on the ground after jumping out of a plane, and smelled that fragrance. And the trick is that every time you smell that smell in the future, it reminds your brain of that feeling of limitless freedom that you felt after skydiving. And it's a way of future coding the moment by remembering the incredible experience from the past. So maybe when you write, you light a certain candle. Maybe when you visualize the healing of your body, you hold a certain herb with you. Maybe you smell rosemary or sage or something that you keep with you, that smell and that scent and that sensory experience triggers the vision into your reality. Maybe you are imagining your new home, the place that you want to call in to be your anchor. Maybe you sip a certain type of tea or cacao while you do that. Because every time you encounter that scent or touch or taste in your daily life, it kind of collapses the distance between now and the future. And it's, some people might hear this and go, yo, that is so out there. But it is actually studied in neuroscience. That when we set these intentions and we find ways to embody them in the now, it creates a kind of liminal space between right now and what we're visioning that might feel far away, but it doesn't have to be. And in fact, it can be a lot more. And I don't know, time feels kind of like an illusion sometimes. So I think we can definitely play with it, because there are times in life, I'm sure you felt this as well, where time feels very, very slow, and others where time feels wicked fast. And a lot of that is because of how you felt during the time. When you are waiting for news from someone in the hospital, time feels forever long. Even an hour can feel like a day. But Maybe you're on an incredible first date with someone and you haven't felt this way in a long time, and it's sparking something inside you that you didn't know that you could feel again. And all of a sudden, a date that was supposed to be 2 hours suddenly turned into 12, and you have no idea how it happened because time just sped by so fast, right? Time moves differently based on how we're interacting with it. So your dream and your vision of how you want to feel and the person you want to be doesn't really have to be that far away. A few more things, final things, rituals. There are a lot of natural gateways, if you will, throughout time. Sunrise, birthdays, full moons, new moons, the first of the month, the first day you start your bleed, anniversaries, right? They are perfect times to pause and set an intention at these thresholds. They're like cracks in time where your vision can slip deeper into the field that you're creating. Also, before you sleep, plant a question. Ask your subconscious, show me what I need to see tonight. Maybe you drink mugwort tea or blue lotus or chamomile, or sit with a plant that calls to you for 30 days. Write your dreams out on paper in the morning, because dream time is the ultimate playground for the subconscious, and where we can try out so many different realities without resistance. Sometimes the ritual is simply to disrupt the script. Maybe that looks like driving a different road home, or striking up a conversation with a stranger. Do the thing that makes no, quote, logical sense, but it makes you feel alive, because every time you break the pattern, you tell your brain that we are not stuck. We are not in a loop. We are not on autopilot. We are infinite. We can do whatever we want. We are the dreamers. We are the creators of this reality. Like, sometimes I'm walking home and I am in complete autopilot, making the same turn I always make, smiling at the same people, doing the same thing. And there's a place and time for that. But if I really want to fuck up the matrix a little bit, I'm going to be like, I'm taking a right here when normally I take a left. And all of a sudden I'm on a new timeline, right? What if I go to the shop and instead of ordering a decaf cappuccino like I always do, I get a London fog, right? It's so simple and it's so subtle. But the changing of the timelines often relies on those really subtle changes that eventually create ultimate and lasting change. That might sound really silly, but give it a try and see what happens, because a lot of the time, following your intuition and getting out of autopilot by breaking the mold of what you typically always do leads to really incredible magic. And gratitude. Gratitude is the fastest wormhole to a new timeline. Because when you feel it deeply, your nervous system releases chemicals of safety and joy, literally. And from that state, life starts to kind of reorganize around you in a new way. I had an experience last week like this, where I was going into town and just kind of going on what I call a wander, which is where I don't have an intention specifically for what I want to do. I'm not like, oh, I have to go here, 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 and here. I'm just like, I'm just going to go and see how the day unfolds. But I'm going to start by getting up, getting dressed, eating, and getting on a bus and seeing where it takes me. So I've got on the bus to go into town, ended up getting on the wrong bus. Not that there is a wrong bus, but not the bus I had intended to get on. And I ended up meeting this woman who looked like she was really just having a rough day. And her daughter, they had this huge suitcase, and I could tell they were in a hurry. Looked really heavy. And I said, can I help you with your case? She was like, please, that would be so helpful. We are really late for our flights. I overslept. I'm super flustered. I'm in a hurry. And I was like, well, I actually have nothing going on right now. I'd be happy to carry it to the station for you. Like, before I could even think what I was saying, these words were coming out of my mouth. And she just looked at me and was like, oh my God, for real? I'm like, yeah, for sure. It's no problem. So I carried her case to the train station, which is just, I don't know, a few blocks away from where we got off on the bus. And she was like, man, I wish we had a chance to eat. We didn't get to eat anything today. And I said, oh, well, you're in luck because I always have snacks. So I pull out of my bag a couple granola bars, some apples. I'm like, here you go, guys. Enjoy your day. I hope you make your flight. And carried on my day. And I walked away from her with a little tear in my eye and joy just reverberating from my whole heart and my whole being. Because I have had people do stuff like that for me in the past. And this felt like a chance for me to just give back and show up for somebody else who needed help and who needed support in a moment. And I had the energy to give to her. I don't always, but I did that day. And by getting to show up in my fullness and give someone else love, it altered my day and altered the timeline that I was on to be feeling so much more gratitude than I was even that morning. Because I woke up in a little bit of a funk. And like after that, I was feeling so good, so aligned. And my next thought was, I wonder who I can help next. And I was like, wow, how much just this one act of random kindness did for me. I'm glad that it helped her. But selfishly, I am really grateful for the boost that it gave me to feel. And that is an example of the version of myself that I want to be living in all the time. That's the version I want to be at 30 and 35. That is living in a place of constant gratitude, that has the space in her life to go on a wander, to get on the wrong bus, to help somebody out that needs it, to have extra food in her bag that she can easily give away to other people who need it more than she does. So, thank you for coming on this journey with me. I hope that this doesn't feel like a big list you've got to go do. This is not some wellness practice you've got to maintain to become. No, these are just tools. Just tools. Take them or leave them. Pick one, take one, leave the rest, whatever. But please stay consistent with whatever one you pick. And watch the timeline unfold. Get really, really fucking clear on who you want to be and how you want to feel. And watch life meet you there. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If something in this one sparked you, send it to a friend. Send me a message about it. Send me an email. Or if you're interested in participating to a deeper level in my life, in my art, in my work, please check out my Patreon. It's linked down below. And for the price of a cup of coffee, you could be involved in the behind the scenes of what goes into creating these episodes and this journey of my life, of everything that I'm sharing, from guided monthly meditations available on my Patreon to behind the scenes voice notes, gratitude lists. There's all kinds of stuff going on, and I would love for you to be a part of it. So please, if you have enjoyed this, I would love to see you over there. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week. As always, open heart, open mind,